Good morning and welcome back, and welcome to part 3 of the orchard transformation, or the mini orchard transformation I should say. We are just going to get pretty much right into it this morning. I've got a lot to tackle, and what I'm wanting to do in the orchard today is pretty much all of the additional planting. I actually have a gentleman coming from an irrigation company this afternoon, and I'd like to have all of the plants in so he has a good idea of where all the beds are going to end up, and he can give me sort of hopefully the best advice as to how the irrigation should be laid out. I'm sort of thinking an isolator valve, but he might have better ideas. Obviously that is his area of expertise. So he's going to be here this afternoon, which means I've got a lot of gardening to get through this morning, and that is what we're going to do together today. But before we head down into the orchard itself, I do have a couple of little gardening developments and someone to introduce you to just while we're over this side of the garden. So first things I'm wanting to show you is this. The temple bells is finally in bloom, and she is nothing short of magical, ethereal, dazzling. The words cannot even. Look at these. Is that not one of the most gorgeous things you have ever seen? This plant was such an impromptu buy at a garden centre. I just happened to stop in out of the blue. I'd never been to it before, and they just happened to have this there. And she is nothing short of just... I've never seen anything like it. Perfect little bell-shaped blooms, and as you can see, she has got so many more to open up. And hopefully, as spring kind of settles upon us, all these other little ones will open. So I wanted to show you that because I just couldn't not. I'm sure you will be seeing her many, many more times over the coming weeks as she, fully flushes out with her gorgeous little bell blooms. But the other thing that I wanted to show you, so this is the other thing. I have my very first hyacinth flower. If you have been following along with the vlogs over the last couple of probably months now, this is my very first attempt at bulbs. I'm in a subtropical climate, so bulbs are not generally something we can grow here, but I achieved this by popping mine in the fridge for a few weeks, and I have been very closely sort of documenting their process. I've been very pleased that all 8 bulbs that I planted came up, but this one here is the very first one to flower. The hyacinths I got were a mixed bulb, so they're all going to be different colours, but as you can see, the first one is pink. Isn't she gorgeous? I've never ever grown hyacinths before. So the first one is pink. I'm very, very happy with that. And then as you can see, sorry, I'm sitting on the rocking chair, all the other ones have got little little flower bulbs inside. This one is massive. Look at the growth of that one compared to all the others. But they all have little flowers in. I think this one here is going to be, if the camera will focus, I think that one there is going to possibly be the next one. And it almost looks like there might be white. But I will definitely keep you posted. But, oh, look Look how pretty. Yes, they ended up, I ended up leaving them out here. They just looked so good on this little table on the patio with the rocking chairs. I can see all of this from my kitchen, so I am still very much enjoying watching the hyacinths from inside. But look at those beautiful pink flowers for spring. What a spring welcome. And if you're confused by my mention of spring there, I am actually in Australia. So if you're watching this from the Northern Hemisphere, you're obviously in autumn now, but I am in Australia, so we are in spring. And then, now that I've shown you those two updates, I want to introduce you to my new little garden addition. I would like you to meet Nigel. Nigel, the little gnome. I have to say, I have never really been like a gnome person. I tend more towards sort of almost like Greek, Roman, sort of inspired statues, that sort of thing. But he absolutely stole my heart. And I don't think he is, particularly if you're like, you know, from above, I don't think he is super gnome-ish. And he's just got this very cute little sign here, bless this garden. And what sold him to me was his little upside down flower hat. Isn't that so cute? He's not a massive statue, as you can sort of see here amongst the pots, and he's not going to stay there. We will place him somewhere today. I am thinking in the orchard, but let's just sort of see how it all kind of pans out. I love the colour of him, and as I said, he's quite sort of whimsical, and as you all know, I love that for my garden. But yeah, and then quite like an understated gnome, I suppose. But I have called him Nigel. But isn't he just the sweetest little thing? Look at his little shoes. So we'll place him up today. And then all of this here is what I need to get into the orchard today. Absolutely, it has to be today. So we have got our work cut out for us. I haven't even kind of decided on all the placements or anything yet. So we're going to get stuck into that straight away. But I thought I'd give you a quick update on the current state of the orchard. Ah, he's so cute. So a little reminder, this is the current state of the orchard. I do apologise, it's a little bit shaded here, so you probably can't really see too much. But we've got the peach tree, we've got the two wild climbing Banksia roses. We have a Washington navel orange at the very back, a seedless mandarin here, a lemon tree, a Washington navel orange, and another Washington navel orange, as well as a lavender. So that's all that's in at the moment. Oh, and apologies, two Cascade lily pillies here at the back. So that is where we're at. What I'm hoping to achieve today, I want to go and get a rake. And I wanted to give it quite a good sort of rake over. You can kind of see here there are quite a number of really large branches still in the area, which just makes it very difficult when you're walking around down there. So I kind of want to give it a bit of a rake and even just pile up the branches in a spot until I get a chance to take them out to the garden waste bin. I wouldn't mind also possibly just removing some of the garden stakes. All the plants look okay, like they all look like they're standing up okay on their own, so I don't think it's necessary for me to leave the stakes in. So I also want to do that. Once I've done all of that, I think the next thing we're going to do is place the plants, and that might take a little while. As I said, I'll kind of have a bit of a play around with the layout, and then the other thing that I want to do is get the cut flower fencing in here at the back. Even if I don't do the seeds today, I think just getting it in again so that the irrigation guy has a good idea this afternoon of where all the beds kind of, and like where all the plants are ending up, so that he can possibly give me a quote and make recommendations to how he thinks I can best irrigate, lay the irrigation in this area. So that is the plan of action. And basically, let's do this. Well, I will say, even just with that little bit of raking, I need to go and get some gardening gloves and kind of just tucking it in this corner. It already looks much better and is much easier to walk on. There's sort of, I don't know if you could see it in the time lapse, but there was this quite large, like, not large, but, you know, rocks and things that make it a bit precarious when you're walking down there. So yeah, already looking good. I'm going to go grab some gardening gloves and kind of just finish kind of pulling this down and maybe just piling it up in this corner. I do need to have a little bit of a tidy around this tree, but I don't think that'll affect him too much tomorrow. So maybe I can do that, like a bit of a tidy up on another day. But yeah, I'll pop back, grab some gardening gloves, finish this off, and then we will start to place the plants. Okay, I got a little bit distracted by Nigel, and I'm thinking of putting him here. There is quite a gap here on the little orchard walkway, and I briefly considered popping like a plant in here, but I think anything that's going to get big will interfere with the temple bells, and I think, you know, as she grows, she'll kind of fill out this space. I could potentially pop one of those little lamians in there, the little ground covers. I think that might look really nice quite close to Nigel's feet, just to kind of cover that space there. But I actually think he looks really nice in here. And then that way you can kind of see him from like the normal kind of cottage garden area, and he's, you know, very sweet and almost quite, you know, tucked in there, and not, you know, completely in your face or anything. And then obviously as the growth and the greenery comes back around him, he'll almost be sort of like a little magical hidden creature in this area. And then as you're entering the orchard, you obviously can see him with his gorgeous little sign that says "Bless this garden." So he may end up here, I think. We shall see. I'll place the plants and we'll sort of see how we all end up. But yeah, actually I think that way you're kind of getting him, you're being able to appreciate him in the, as you know, as you're entering the orchard, but then you can also kind of see him just from the normal cottage garden, which I think is lovely. Anywho, back to my raking. All right, it is looking so much better already. I've got Mum here, as you can see, taking pity on me and helping out here. But yeah, already looking much better and so much easier to walk on. So that is great. All right, next thing we're going to do is place the plants. So as I said, if I just pan back over here, this is everything that's got to go in today. So I think what we might do, I might pop you on a little bit of a time lapse and we'll sort of see where everything ends up. So I thought before I get to planting, I would kind of just talk you through the positioning that I've kind of settled on for this point. As I start to plant things, things might change. So just in front of little Nigel here, I've got one of these lanium. So it's like a full sun part shade. You can see they're just a ground cover. I think that will be quite nice in here, and it won't interfere with the temple bells. So I think that'll kind of fill this little area out, and then sort of fill out around his feet as well. And then down in the orchard, I'm going to plant one of the little pink lavenders just here in between the mandarin and the lemon tree. So I thought I would plant the Spanish pink because it is the only pink lavender that I picked up. So I'm going to plant that in there. And then over here, I've got this little collection of smaller style Spanish eyes. It's almost like quite lacy, the leaves. It's quite different. They're quite small, so they're full sun part shade. They get 70 centimeters tall because of these long flower spires. But they only get 30 centimeters wide. So that's why I've got a little collection here of 3 pots. So I thought I'd kind of just pop them in this little area here, sort of right off the entryway. And then I've got a few of the Powderpuff Perfection. And then we've got the white Banksia wild climbing roses here, already starting to grow onto its trellis. Another Powderpuff Perfection. I've got a lavender here behind the peach tree. So this is the Tuscan Grand Purple. So I'm thinking to pop that there. A Powderpuff Perfection. I've got the yellow Banksia rose here. Powderpuff Perfection, and then another little lavender here at the end. So this one flowers in late summer and is the French lavender. So I thought that would just be really nice. It gets quite big, so it's a meter by a meter. So I thought that might be nice. Oops. Sorry, it's a slope. Sort of in this corner here. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And then I might actually... This is where the cut flower garden will go. I'm just debating whether I get the fencing now. It might kind of get in the way a little bit though of the planting. The reason I'm thinking of getting the fencing now is I wouldn't mind actually putting this a little bit further down, but I'm just curious to see how much of this will be filled with the cut flowers. So I may actually get the fencing just so I can get a bit of an idea of the width that it's going to fill along this back fence. So I will come back with the fencing. So the little cut flower fence is in. I'm not sure if it comes across particularly well on camera, but you can see I've just assembled a little fence sort of. It's hard now with the sun. I think it'll be a little bit easier for you to see once it gets shaded, but I wanted to get this in today so that the irrigation guy can kind of see roughly where everything is. And just because of how that's sitting, that means I can just push this lavender down a little bit more, which is great. So I'm running out of time. I've got an 11:30 appointment today. So we are just going to get on with trying to get all of this planted. I feel like we should almost just dig like kind of like a trench or something along here, if it's possible. And then we've got the garden soil here. So yeah, I'm probably going to pop you on a time lapse. And we are going to get in and get all of this planted, and then I will show you, as well as this. Oh, he's so cute, little Nigel. It's very cute. As well as this one here we'll plant. But yeah, we're going to get on stuck into this. I'll pop you on a time lapse, and then I will show you what it all looks like at the end. the plants are in. The fencing is in. We've had a really good tidy up. You can see the big pile of mess there. But yeah, all the flowering plants are all now in, which was a mammoth effort. That ground is so difficult to dig holes in, my goodness. And I don't know if it came across on camera, but this whole thing this morning probably took a good 2 to 3 hours. So I will have definitely cut it down for you and no doubt put some time lapses in. I'm about to run to my 11:30 appointment, and it is the peak of the day, so this area is fairly covered in sunshine, which is maybe not the best for showing you, just because of all the shadows, it's maybe not the best for showing you the space. So I might actually come back on this afternoon once I get back from my appointment and this is a bit more shaded, and then I will actually come down together, we'll have a little walk around and I'll give you a bit of a close-up of how it's all looking. It looks so good, if I do say so myself. It's looking really, really nice. I cannot wait to get the irrigation in. I definitely think I want a little ground cover for this area here. Getting the irrigation down, getting all the chip bark down, and then yeah, maybe getting, I've got my eye on a few little sort of garden structural ornamental things in here as well. I really hope these trees make it. Some of them have while we were in here today, a few of the leaves and things have fallen off. I'm not sure if that's maybe not the best sign, or just because, you know, we were moving around in here, we've knocked them off. But this one here does look quite yellow. It's a Washington navel orange, but it was really struggling in the old location. It was quite yellow. You'll remember from the last videos of that. So I definitely don't think it looks any worse, but yeah, I think maybe it's a little bit too early to tell. But anyway, I'm going to get to my appointment now, and then this afternoon we will have a great wander and kind of conclude this part 3 and yeah, give you a little bit of a close-up of how it's all looking. You can see little Nigel here. Oh, he's so cute. I popped the plant in there as well, so I'll show you all of that this afternoon. This jasmine is, the scent of this at the moment is unbelievable. It perfumes the entire back cottage garden. It is so incredible, and very unintentionally somehow we've almost got it like a standard, where it's like on like a little kind of stick and then it's this big ball at the top. It was very unintentional, but gosh, the smell is incredible. Just such a sweet, you know, obviously jasmine smell. But let's head to the orchard. Well, what a day I have had. It is about 4:30 now. I've basically just finished eating lunch. It has just been a whirlwind, an absolute whirlwind. I thought I would start up here just so you could kind of get that bit of a bird's eye view of the orchard and how it's looking. Much easier for you to see now that the sun is almost going down. The irrigation guy has been, and he has confirmed that it is definitely possible to put an isolator on and just isolate this one area for the irrigation, which is an absolute win. I will discuss the irrigation a little bit more with you once it's done. I think that that's going to be a lot easier for me to kind of explain once it's in and you can see it. So that'll be coming in another video in the future. But this is how it is looking. And I thought what we would do now is just actually head down here and I'll take you a little wander around and you can kind of see all the things we did today. But I will just say the raking first up this morning of this space, you can see all the debris here, has made such an incredible difference. It has made it so much easier to walk around on as well. There were lots of loose stones that you could really just easily roll your ankle on. So such a big difference. I don't know if it comes across on camera. I'll be interested when I watch this footage back to be able to see what it was like this morning and then what it looks like now. But yeah, oh my goodness, just leaps and bounds better. But anyway, let's head down and let's have a little wander around. So all of the paths here are wet at the moment because the irrigation gentleman was here, as I said. Planted in this one here, as I said to you earlier, oh my God, Nigel is adorable. He's absolutely adorable. Look at him. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with that purchase. And then if we head down, I may start this way, I think. So the lavender is actually looking a lot better. It had kind of flopped over a little bit, but if I come down, you can see now that it is starting to sort of perk back up, which is lovely. And then I definitely want to get some plants, probably ground covers, I would say, just to kind of go through here. This will get about 1 meter by about 1 meter. It's about 1 meter high, 1 meter wide, but that's going to take some time. So I just think having some really pretty little ground covers through here, just to sort of hide that dirt and add a little bit of color and brightness in, would be really nice. We've got orange tree. Lemon is still looking a little bit sad. I don't think it's any worse than what it was when it was originally planted, so that's positive. But the pink Spanish lavender has gone in, and you can see here she's just starting to get her flowers, so that should be very pretty with little pink lavender blooms on there. And she has the gorgeous scent, the lavender scent to her foliage. The mandarin tree is still, I was actually worried about it this morning. I thought it looked a little bit sad this morning, but it seems fine now. I am very worried about this one. In saying that though, I was worried about it in the old location. So it looked like this in the, actually when it was in the garden bed. So I don't actually know if it has deteriorated further or not, but it's not looking great. I've sort of been holding off from fertilizing. I wanted to give them all like an opportunity to sort of settle into their new places before I fertilize them. So I might just give it a couple more days and then I'll give it a good fertilize and see how it goes. Cascade lily pillies are both doing well. This fencing is the fencing that will end up here for the cut flowers, but I've just very haphazardly put it in the like today, just so I can kind of get a feeling for the space. We will do seeds together in a future part orchard video, maybe part 4. Yeah, maybe part 4. We'll fix up this, we'll do the seeds, and I will have purchased a few additional ground covers and we'll kind of get all those bits in. So maybe we'll do that in part 4 of the orchard transformation. I think that will look lovely. And yeah, I'll fix up this, but that is the very sweet little sort of closed in area for the cut flowers. Now, the reason I've sort of closed it in is because quite a number of the seeds I have, the flowers actually will get very tall. And I've learned my lesson that when cut flowers get quite tall, they tend to sort of flop over. And so I just think the fencing here will kind of help to hold the bunches together a little bit. So that's looking good there. We've got lavender here, and that actually has transplanted remarkably well. Look how perky that looks. So that is looking great. We've got a Powderpuff Perfection. We've got the yellow wild Banksia climbing rose here. She's so small. I googled the Banksia roses last night, I think, out of curiosity, and Google has told me that they get about 9 meters. So I definitely think in future it is going to be a possibility that they will cover this fence and then we'll be able to go along this fence. Gosh, in a year, in another 12 months, this space won't look, it's going to be so incredible, like that how do I say this? I'm so pleased that I'm filming this and sharing this with yourselves, but also kind of recording it for myself as well, if you know what I mean, because in 12 months time, this space is going to look completely different. And I think it's going to be amazing to kind of see it, you know, throughout all of its stages and then see what it looks like in 12 months. This space, like the orchard space, will definitely feature on, you know, my garden tours in the future. So while the transformation journey will kind of end as we sort of, you know, wind everything up, this space will obviously continue to grow and fill out. And so I will definitely be sharing all of that with you. Anywho, so Powderpuff Perfection, yellow Banksia rose, another Powderpuff Perfection. We have got a I think this might be the Tuscan lavender in there. The bees have been loving because she is in flower. This one here doesn't flower until sort of summer, but this one is already in flower, which is looking great. We've got a very, very sad looking Powderpuff Perfection here. Gosh, she looks terrible. Look how drooped over she is. Goodness. The reason I'm out here now filming this with you is because I've actually come out here to water everything. So that is what I'm going to do. Then we've got so hopefully by tomorrow she will have perked back up. And then I've got the white wild Banksia climbing rose. Cannot wait to see what they look like in bloom. That is going to be incredible. Another Powderpuff Perfection, and then we've got is it the French or the Spanish? French eyes maybe, or Spanish eyes? Maybe it's Spanish. Spanish eyes lavender here, which I find it fascinating. So there are 5 different types of lavender in here, and they are all so different. Like, look at these very pretty lacy leaves. And those blooms are starting to all come through now as well. But yes, I've kind of just got this on the corner here. And there you go. That is the space as of today. So I think we are at part 3 of the orchard transformation. So this is how it's looking. There will no doubt be a part 4 next week, I would imagine, where we get the cut flower seeds in, and I get in the ground covers for this area here, and possibly another little one just for in here. And then I imagine there'll probably also be maybe a part 5 where, well, there will be, there's definitely going to be a part 5 where I get the irrigation down, and then all of this gets covered in chip bark or mulch, chip bark, whatever you like to call it. And then all of this kind of, gets covered in chip bark and is going to look absolutely beautiful. And then there may be a few little statues and bits and pieces that I will introduce to this area along with Nigel. I have to say, I am definitely set on that position. I really like him there. He looks incredible throughout the entire garden, and I just think you get to see him, you know, from the cottage garden and things, and I like how he's sort of almost tucked in. I feel that that's very much like a gnome sort of thing to do, sort of, you know, be hidden back. But yes, so it was an absolutely mammoth effort this morning. I was so lucky that Mum was able to pitch in and help, and between the two of us, we got all of this in. As I was saying earlier, this ground, because there's never been a garden here before, the ground is so hard. Getting that shovel in to dig the holes was very difficult. But I am over the moon with how this is looking. I definitely think I might want to like define, sorry, I'm thinking to myself now, I'm thinking out loud. I might kind of almost want to like define these little garden beds, do you know what I mean, somehow with dirt or something, so that the mulch doesn't kind of go up into it, but we've just got some nice sort of dirt. I'm wondering if I get some rocks or something, like those sandstone rocks that I like, because I could do that there, but I could also kind of do this edge here and like maybe even just around to there. And then we'll kind of mulch all through here. These won't be in a defined garden bed. I'll mulch all around this area. Anywho, that is something to think about for another day. I hope you really enjoyed this one. I hoped you enjoyed kind of seeing the process today, seeing how everything went in. And yeah, I hope you will join me for future videos and that you will hit that subscribe button. But that is going to be all for me today. I'm going to get stuck in and start hosing before it gets pitch black and all the mosquitoes come out. So I will see you on Friday. I think what we're going to be, I'm trying to think of what we're doing on Friday. I'm not sure. Anywho, I won't chew your ear off any further. I will see you then. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.